الله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرج به من الثمرات رزقا لكم وسخر لكم الفلك لتجري في البحر بأمره وسخر لكم الأنهار وسخر لكم الشمس والقمر دائبين وسخر لكم الليل والنهار وآتاكم من كل ما سألتموه وإن تعدوا نعمة الله لا تحصوها إن الإنسان لظلوم كفار صدق الله العلي العظيم.
MashaAllah, that was very beautiful, a very beautiful recitation of the Holy Quran. I enjoy that so much, and it's such a blessing. And now we move on to the section of the dua with Brother Ibrahim. Assalamu alaikum, brother. How are you doing?
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah. How are you?
Good.
Alhamdulillah. Welcome to this show again.
Thank you once again.
Always a pleasure.
Inshallah, today we're going to be talking about dua after Salah,
Inshallah.
which is obviously something that we've discussed previously. It's very important to sort of remember to to make dua after praying. If you'd like to give a bit of explanation about the dua you're going to recite for us.
Definitely. So today, this specific dua, of course, there are many du'as that are recommended to be recited after prayer. This being one of them, and possibly, of course, all du'as are beautiful, but possibly one of the most beautiful ones and one of my favorites, just because of the things it mentions within. So inshallah, if I recite the Arabic first, then we can look at the people mentioned.
Bismillah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم أدخل على أهل القبور السرور اللهم أغن كل فقير اللهم اشبع كل جائع اللهم اكس كل عريان اللهم اقض دين كل مدين اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب اللهم رد كل غريب اللهم فك كل أسير اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين اللهم اشفي كل مريض اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك اللهم اقض عنا الدين واغننا من الفقر إنك على كل شيء قدير وصلى اللهم على محمد وآله الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. So, of course, the very first people it mentions is the inhabitants of the graves. So the very first thing is, it is asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, "O Allah, grant them pleasure, grant them happiness for those who are within their graves." So the translation goes as follows: "O Allah, bring in pleasure to the inhabitants of the grave. O Allah, enhance all the poor ones. O Allah, satisfy all hungry ones. O Allah, provide all the naked with clothes. O Allah, help all those who are in debt by settling their debt. O Allah, relieve all the aggrieved ones. O Allah, help all the strangers to return home. O Allah, release all the prisoners. O Allah, rectify all the Muslims' affairs that are wrong. O Allah, heal all the ill ones. O Allah, fill in our poverty with your richness. O Allah, change our ill manners through your excellent manners. O Allah, help us settle our debts and save us from poverty. Verily, you have power over all things." And I think it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
You're starting off by making dua for all these people, and then you relate it back to yourself straight after.
Is this a dua that's recommended any time, or is it particularly for the holy month of Ramadan?
This is, in fact, a dua that is recommended to be recited after prayer generally. And like we said, within Ramadan, just because of the blessing of this month, there's just that extra thing to it.
Yeah.
I don't know, everything just has that extra thing to it. Even prayer, reciting Quran, it always has that extra thing to it. And I always say this, I'm not going to come here in front of the cameras and say, "Oh, do you know what?" No. When I come to want to open the Quran when it's not Ramadan, it's hard. It's hard. It's not as easy. Ramadan, I have that thing where it's like, do you know what? Yeah, I can open this Quran.
Extra zeal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
MashaAllah.
Other than that, it's like, and the same thing goes with dua.
But this dua captured my imagination because it's, in comparison to the others, there's a little twist on this one that is praying for others. Praying for others, praying for others, praying for others. Because, sometimes we can become absorbed. And Allah does say for us to ask for our needs, but, sometimes we can become so absorbed in our own world and our own needs that we're praying for ourselves. We're praying for ourselves, or just for our family.
I think it's the etiquette of Ahlul Bayt, isn't it? Lady Fatima Salam Alayha used to pray for everyone around before her own and then herself. And I think it's showing the etiquette, isn't it? That think about all those people in need, and actually not just thinking about those, but think about how many do not have and that we have, and when you're looking at, clothes those that are naked, well, alhamdulillah, we don't have, and certainly where we live, the poverty, we have so much to be grateful for, and especially in this month.
100%.
And I think one of the most beautiful things about this month is the unity, and it doesn't matter which school of thought you may belong to. But when you see others, so for instance, Muslims, Muslim sisters, we're quite obvious with our hijab, and you all know that we're all fasting, and it's such a beautiful feeling that you're in this collective worship with Allah.
There's real power in that collectivity.
Yes.
Real
100%,
power in that
100%.
collectivity. I think other religions don't understand, because a lot of other people of other faiths, Muslims fast, but there was fasting before the Quran was revealed. There's fasting before Muslims and stuff. I'm saying it's true. The Quran confirms that there was fasting before, but there's no religion I'm aware of now that's any revealed or any spiritual path where it's a collective fast for a month. There's nothing like that. And the power is of all. You can feel the spirituality in the society. You can 100%. Feel it.
Yeah, definitely, and especially when you go to Muslim countries, it's the feeling just intensifies. You mentioned you've been Ramadan in Najaf.
Well, it's just the beginning. We left just before, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, but I went 2 years ago, and I fasted the last 10 days in Najaf. So I got the Istishhad of Imam Ali. I was in Najaf, and Layal al-Qadr. I was in Najaf, and it was just beautiful. It was just something else. But you mentioned Fatima Zahra and how she used to always pray for others. From that, we get one time someone came to Fatima Zahra and they asked her, "Oh, Fatima Zahra, why is it that you always pray for others? Why do you not pray for yourself?" She said, "Have you not heard the hadith from my father, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, in which he said, your neighbor before yourself?" The teachings of Ahlul Bayt, great examples, great akhlaq. And of course we see in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. He had a great example in Rasulullah. Rasulullah used to always go for those in need, go do whatever he could, literally whatever he could, just to get to them before he gets to his own house. And the same was with Fatima Zahra. She gave away everything she had. There were days where Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein wouldn't eat, yet the poor ones would be eating, because Fatima Zahra and Imam Ali used to always seek out to them. I think that's very beautiful, and we should take a great example from that.
Definitely. So I think in the societies we live in, we're promoted to think about, well, sort yourself out first before thinking of others, because you matter first. But actually, Ahl Bayt are giving us such pristine examples that think about the others around you. And I think what you have between you and Allah is a secret, isn't it? They wouldn't have announced that our children are hungry. But it's an etiquette to us, isn't it?
100%.
That these lessons.
Do you know what? It tends to work better in society as well. I see. Why? Because if everyone's thinking about themselves, the poor ones, who's going to help them? There's no such thing as there can't be a poor one. There isn't such a thing. There's always going to be someone who is poor.
Yeah. Somebody has to have, by definition, less.
Yeah, 100%. So who's going to be there for their aid? Me, myself, let's say as an example, I'm very well off right now, but in a few days' time, how do I not know I'm going to get stuff coming in left, right, centre? I'm gone.
Yeah.
I don't have anything. I'm going to need aid. Now, I'm not going to be maybe I'm not going to have the health to stand up for myself.
Often, I mean, we have, mashallah, such good feeding the homeless drives in London. And I remember reading an article about a homeless person in London that one of the national newspapers had run. And they said, well, how did you get to this state? He said, his everything just fell apart. His relationship fell apart. His motivation for work fell apart. He was an educated person, had a very good job. And suddenly he found himself like not having the will to live. And he said, I gave everything up because things just, like a domino effect, broke. And there he was on the streets. And this wasn't somebody that was, scrounging on drugs and, had an awful upbringing.
We just don't know what tomorrow may bring, right? We just don't know. Just like people that are they say the believer shouldn't be hopeless, because even if you're in a tight jam or a difficult situation, you don't know what Allah has got for you, to change that situation, to elevate you. And likewise, those who are fortunate, we should just be humble and not be arrogant, because that can be removed by circumstances that we just don't know.
Nothing is written forever, is it? And often when you see people in difficult circumstances, they're, even when we're saying, okay, fasting is difficult, it's not easy to be hungry for, however many, 18, 19 hours. But the willpower that we grow from it, the resilience we develop, it's amazing how much actually power human beings have if the mind is in control of it.
And you mentioned Ramadan and fasting. The thing is, one of the purposes of fasting is to actually feel the hunger of the poor ones. It's to actually feel the thirst of those who don't have anything to drink.
Exactly.
So then, when you come and then you're in that state where you feel what someone else is feeling, yet with that you are making dua for all those who are in need. It just adds that spirituality effect. Yeah, and I think we've been talking about that every single episode. The spirituality.
We gain
effect.
Some insight.
Yeah.
Of the less fortunate, at least some.
Inshallah, unfortunately, that's all we've come to the end of the show.
It goes so quick.
That was very quick.
And I just think from the dua that you recited, that something that we can sort of magnify in this month is perhaps to think about the ones that are less needy and perhaps elevate ourselves by helping others.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, another episode. Inshallah, we'll see you.
Inshallah,
keep us in your du'as.
Inshallah, likewise.
Thank you so much.
Jazakumullah khair.
And next up, we have Dua Maksumi discussing bad habits and Baraka pearls.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Dua Maksumi, and I'm here to show you how the Holy Quran can improve your life. Let's talk about the bad habits. We all have bad habits, but they're not haram to do in the month of Ramadan. And why can Ramadan help us combat and break the bad habits? How can both the fasting side and the spiritual side help bad habits? Well, let's talk about our bad habits. For example, sometimes you like to watch a lot of video games or play a lot of video games, watching too much movies or too much YouTubers, or going out, dining out in a shisha caf. They're not haram. But in the holy month of Ramadan, it's not spiritual. It doesn't help your spiritual soul. The month of Ramadan is a blessed month in which one must connect together with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by listening to Quran, by reading dua iftitah after the iftar, by sitting with family, connecting with relatives, doing salat raham. It's more important than locking up yourself in the room and watching video games all day or watching movies, even though it's not haram to do it in the month of Ramadan. but it's considered as a bad habit. Ramadan can help combat bad habits like those that I mentioned, because we realize that we change a lot in Ramadan. Instead of us listening to music, we would listen to more of Quran. Instead of us being outside all the time, we'd enjoy our family. So it helps us connect with family, with leaving your bad habits, to listen to more Quran, to connect yourself with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By the time the month of Ramadan ends, you're used to the spiritual thing that you do on your daily basis. You miss reading Quran, you miss hearing supplications and du'as. So instead of me being in my room playing video games and watching YouTube all the time, I would be like, I want to sit with my family. I should read a little bit of Quran because I got used to it in the month of Ramadan. So bad habits can help in the month of Ramadan, because slowly you'll get used to in changing those bad habits. For example, you'd have something like anger management. We all have anger management, but in the month of Ramadan, it's not really spiritual to be angry and have bad manners and akhlaq. So what does the month of Ramadan do? When you're fasting, it helps you to be patient and to control your anger. And when the month of Ramadan is complete and it's done, you will get into the habit of being used to being patient and calm. That being said, having those bad habits are not recommended in Islam. So take your notebook out and sit down and list down the bad habits that you have and try to avoid doing them on day-to-day basis in the month of Ramadan until you practice how to live your life without bad habits, and you would accomplish a goal. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, "Man tasawa yawmah fahuwa maghboon." Whose days are equal are a loser. وَمَنْ كَانَ أَمْسُهُ أَفْضَلَ مِنْ يَوْمِهِ. And those who their today is worse than their yesterday is cursed. So we should always change our bad habits and not go to the minus. We should always change ourselves and not be like how we were yesterday. Ramadan Mubarak wa taqabbalallahu a'malakum.
Nutrition and health. I have with me today Sister Fahima Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
My NLP coach, life coach, NLP practitioner,
Yes.
and Ben the chef.
Hello. Yeah.
You're not cooking today, Ben. It doesn't look
I'm
like
not
you're
cooking
cooking
today.
today. But
It's
what
my
do you
day
have
off.
in store for
We have got
us?
a beautiful, gorgeous salad to prepare for everyone. It's really just to showcase the sort of nutrients that you need over the fasting period, and just making sure you get everything that you could possibly need to keep you going.
What's it called?
This is a mixed leaf, boiled egg, tomato and radish salad.
I love the ingredients already.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The fact that I can see spinach over there, and a lot of the times we have spinach that is cooked. So this is an opportunity to have it.
Raw spinach.
Raw
This
spinach.
is baby spinach.
And this is
Does it
baby
differ?
spinach.
Does it differ?
There's
Yeah, I
different,
mean, a lot of the time when we're going to cook our ingredients, it's going to obviously take away a lot of the, the health and nutrition's in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good opportunity to have your, your greens, and also it contains a lot more of the water that we require to keep us hydrated.
The hydration, because it's
Yes.
always an issue as we're
Exactly.
fasting. In Ramadan,
We're
it's always an
fasting,
issue.
It's something light, it's easy, as well as the fact that we can have it in the morning if you fancy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not everyone's taste, but a lot of, for the evening as well, alongside your main meal. It's a really good dish. But this one, because it's got eggs in there, it's very high in protein.
Yeah.
And it could be taken as a full meal if some days you don't feel like having, because as Ramadan goes along and the days, your tummy gets a little bit smaller
the
Yes.
and your intake is a little bit less.
Yeah.
So this is
Oh,
a
we
really
hope
good-
that for we're hoping.
It depends.
We're hoping for some.
Some of
You
us-
do know for some it increases. You know.
Of course, but that also does really, that's a really interesting point, because I think a lot of us, because we stick to the traditional foods,
Yeah.
and that is not actually beneficial for us at all. It increases.
So easy on the grease,
Yes.
guys.
Easy on
the
the
That's
grease.
it. That is it.
Definitely. So we can start
So
by,
yeah, we're just going to
give us,
start with the leaves. Just got some lettuce here. Fantastic vegetable for salads.
I love green. I love green. I love green. I can't get enough green. Raw foods. There's a kind of raw food movement that's going on
Yes.
these days, being promoted
have
more and
restaurants
more
now.
and more. As people
Yes.
are going more vegan. I'm not necessarily promoting any veganism, but I'm just saying that as people go more
Yeah,
more into
absolutely.
the less animal product foods and more vegetable-based foods, is raw food diet. Do you know anything about this? Is whole raw food movement, alkaline
Well,
versus acidic foods and this
of
type of thing?
course. And also the practical reasons for it. I mean, I personally like to be as quick as, if I want to be in the kitchen. So having it raw is less preparation, less time. And obviously it holds more of the nutritions in there.
Okay.
And, it always has been, basically research have shown that it's better for you to have raw foods. But as research goes along as well, we realize that, it has changed with our concept, especially with eggs. It used to be something that we shouldn't have, or have only the whites, or, not the yellow, whichever way. But
Cholesterol, good
Yes.
cholesterol, bad
but it
cholesterol.
depends, because the cholesterol does not necessarily, raise in the blood. So that's why it's fine for us to continue to have that now.
Yeah.
And so with new research all the time, always keep yourself updated. Don't just go with the information that you learned before. And that's a really good way of, sort of increasing
To
your
involve
weight.
intellectually, right?
Yes,
We gotta
we
involve.
have to
Yeah.
involve.
Absolutely.
And research is, proving to show us that there is changes in everything, especially in our food and diet. So we need to be up to date with that to realize that there are certain things that
Absolutely.
we can have,
Absolutely.
and we should have, and it will actually increase us, in our likelihood of actually eating better and fresher and opening up our palates to even, things that we wouldn't normally have.
Because there's always that fear for some people when they hear cholesterol, they think, okay, heart disease because of the
Yes.
effect that some cholesterol will have building up in the arteries and making blood pressure irregular, right? So, but there's
Yeah,
there is
I mean,
good cholesterol
eggs-
to kind of challenge that.
Eggs at one point were considered very bad for cholesterol. If you eat too many eggs or every day, it was
Yeah.
considered quite bad. Now it's not the case. There's new studies that have come out, and it's not so bad for you. It's actually
It's actually
a great,
good for you.
a great food
Yeah.
food to eat.
And as humans, we evolve. We are changing ourselves all the time, and our bodies are changing. So we need to know, what's happening around us and how our food is being prepared, how it's
Yes.
actually being grown, and all of these things do take effect as to what we put inside ourselves.
Yeah.
So that sort of knowledge, I think we always have to be, up to date with, and give ourselves, the time to take that, sort of extra step to
Yeah.
research.
I can't help watching, Ben, your technique with the
With the
knife.
radish.
You're getting the most out of that right?
Waste not, want not.
Yeah, and you're not serving
But
up any
actually, if you don't
chunks
like
No,
it,
no,
hunks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and actually, if certain ingredients are not necessarily your favorite, in order to have it cut in a thin way,
Yeah.
be
It
able
makes
to
it
dissolve.
easily, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, guys at home, if you've got a mandolin would be great here. If your knife skills aren't great, you can just
But try not
Shave it
to.
on
But try not to mandolin half of your thumb off.
yes. Be careful, guys. Be careful. But yeah, so simple, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
just packed full of flavour and nutrients. I mean, this raw thing. If you're anyone who's cooked carrots before, what happens when you take the carrots out? What does the water look like? It's orange, isn't it?
Yes.
So
And
that's
that's
half of the
everything.
nutrition
That's-
going away.
that's good vitamins and minerals that are just being left behind. You're going to throw that away, right? So
So try and stick to,
Yes.
the raw foods more.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But just remember, when salads, obviously when we're going to garnish it and we're going to have, sort of like the dressing,
Mm-hmm.
cut down a little bit of your salt, because obviously that's going to
Yep.
make you feel a bit thirsty. So, try maybe having a little bit extra, maybe, I don't know, lemon if you wanted, a bit of olive oil, and you've got some vinegar
Yes.
there, I see, which is actually very good for you too. So all of these things is something to consider when you're fasting, especially.
Absolutely.
So it will not actually, dry your palate too quickly and make you feel thirsty throughout the day. And that's just with food in general. But obviously we do add,
Yeah.
salt and pepper or whatever it may be in our foods.
It feels like a kind of a payoff. You kind of cost benefit because the more seasoning there is, the more tasty the food is. But that means possibly more salt and more
Exactly.
drying out.
Exactly.
And you want to be able to taste the ingredients as well. You don't want to mask the beautiful ingredients that you've got.
Yes, because there's some things like salt or even other sort of like balsamic vinegar, can be overpowering.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we need to obviously, check that before we actually
Balance.
put
It's
it.
all about balance.
It's all about
Yeah.
balance.
So
Okay, here comes the spinach. Here comes the superfood.
now we're adding the flavour. We've got beautiful ingredients here, but we're going to sort of make them even better with this little dressing that I've made. It's just vinegar and oil. There's no need
That's
to.
olive oil we're having in
Yep,
there, right?
vinegar and
Okay.
olive oil.
Mhm.
There's no need to jazz it up. Just simple dressing.
I love the colours of that as well.
That's
Yeah,
it.
it's got a vibration to
Yes.
it. It has a
It's fresh for the
vibration.
summer. It's really healthy. It's quite filling.
That's it.
You put vinegar in there. I think is there something about the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, talking about the benefits of vinegar, or anything about it helping digestion in general.
Well, it does help in digestion, but also everything within balance, because we need to know our bodies so that we make sure that whatever we have is in keep with us. You know, there's no point even saying general, you know, information about this is good or this is not good. Because like I said, we have to study our bodies first, know ourselves, and that's why it's highly recommended to know your body type and what it is that's good for you. Because when we're even giving this kind of information, really it's for you to go out there at home and search for yourself.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's what people always get confused of, and that's why things don't work for them, because they're using general information which doesn't work for them.
Not made to
It's
measure, not tailored, not
exactly.
tailored
It's
for
not
themselves.
tailored.
Yeah,
Exactly. So
Yes.
I always generalize, and I say if I'm going to, you know, coach a client one-to-one, then we do individual research and work with regards to their body type, their weight, what exactly it is that they're doing and using
What's
in their
their
diet.
goals, X, Y, Z?
What is their goal? You
Yeah,
know, what's
yeah.
their trigger? What's happening in their daily routine? And that's an individual sort of requirement.
Okay, so you're
and
taking
need.
in
Absolutely.
lifestyle into consideration,
Yes.
and also people's intolerance to food,
Of
dislike to
course.
food, or people's
Absolutely.
aversion to food, because I guess all those things differ, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And our cultures do come into play, because we're so used to the same types of food, we're so used to the same sort of ways of doing things, and a lot of it is really not healthy. So we need to sort of open up our minds a little bit more of the foods that, you know, is for us, regardless of where we come from.
Do you encounter resistance then, or people kind of like an unwillingness, or
Well, it's not so
not
much-
unwillingness, or a slight fear of
It's
stepping
not
into the
really-
unknown?
It's not really as resistance, but it's the fact that, you know, people are not willing to change. They're not willing to open up to new ideas, because if they're going to attend a family occasion, if they're going to certain restaurants, it's always the same. And unfortunately, it's not healthy. And especially when there's loads of people, they just think they're just going to fill the whole table up with everything, and not necessarily, most of it's not healthy. And it's not actually giving
Yeah.
them anything. And in Ramadan, we have this a lot. And you feel bloated, you feel tired. So at the same time, you know, we need to be able to worship better. We need to be able to move better. And how can we do this? Our food helps with that. That intake in our body gives us, you know, not just metabolism, it gives us energy, it gives us even the thought in our brains in order to be able to, you know,
So you're one of
better.
those who believe that food can help with concentration or state of mind.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot of research
Yeah.
that shows that. And even just generally fasting, we don't even address the fact that a lot of people find it really difficult, but fasting is such a good benefit for us in so many ways. A lot of athletes do that. A lot of sick patients, even they will fast intermittently because they feel that it will help their body detox, or even just help with their balance just generally in life. So, you know, we've got to know these advantages so that we actually do drive ourselves to actually make the benefit, you know, to its, you know, to the limit.
Ben, are there other
Yes.
salads that you can combine, create, I don't know, put together that is good for Sahoor, for the, you know, something that put something rich in the engine that won't bloat you?
Yeah.
As a female saying that won't bloat you, but it will help you the next day when you engage in
Absolutely.
a fast.
I mean, the name of the game with this one is replenishing your water and getting those minerals and vitamins. So do your research. There's so many great superfoods out there, like beetroot, avocado, as we had in one of our other episodes. They're just absolute superfoods. If you eat one of those a day, you're going to be laughing. So, yeah.
You can even have like kidney beans and lentils and things like
Yes.
that, and even whole.
Pulse of the pulses.
And
Now you're entering the
exactly.
pulses.
And it's
Yes.
actually filling, and it's
Extra
really tasty.
protein.
Yeah.
Extra protein. It's so amazing. Food is such an amazing thing, but people, you know, because of the lack of knowledge or education, just generally awareness around it, it could really deter you from actually creating something that's going to be so fulfilling for you.
Yeah, food
And
tends to
you
be
can
such a
actually enjoy it.
social thing. You mentioned culture earlier
Yes.
on, but food tends to be such a social thing. So
Yes, it is.
it is, people need that extra encouragement
Of
to break
course.
away and
Yes.
try something new, right?
Get away from the norm, try something new, and, you know, open up a different lens. And like I said, you know, it will not just help your body, it will help your mind, it will help your movement generally. And we need to obviously, you know, do so much in this day and age. So, you know, what better way than this? And there's so much processed food, there's so much, you know, ready-made foods that's around.
That's
Absolutely.
packed
And-
with salt.
Yeah, this is this point of this program is to show it's quick and easy, it's simple, and it's most importantly healthy and nutritional. So, you know,
So this was
it's
fast
definitely
food.
possible.
This was fast
This is
food.
the new
This is
fast
real
food.
fast food.
Real
With a
fast
twist,
food.
it's
Yeah.
actually healthy for you, you know?
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Fast
Wow.
as in quick.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, but
Yes.
not fast as in
Yeah.
full
The
with
unhealthy
cheap,
way.
unhealthy
Yes.
ingredients.
Yes.
That's
the
it.
process.
I mean, this in itself is a great side dish, you know? But add some chicken to it,
That's true.
add some other proteins to it, and you've got a main meal there. And with, how long did that take?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of minutes, you know?
Exactly.
And, you know, when you're tired, you come home, you don't want to be faffing around cooking this, that, and the other. You just want to keep it simple
and it looks so colourful, because I know that there's going to be mums with young children out there, and you know there's always a bit of a struggle to get them to eat their greens. But this looks a bit appealing. I mean, can you say a little bit about how you work with mums in terms of working with children and stuff like that? Because you know children they can be a kind of law unto themselves,
of
or
course,
you know,
it's
they can
also
be challenging.
it's trying to manage their mindset and trying to have them think that even if they don't like it, try it again. Because like I said, our palate changes over time. And if you are trying something as well, that actually helps. Because a lot of time we cook for our kids and we don't eat it ourselves. And they do have a different way, you know, each child does differ.
Yeah.
So, you know, and we tend to try and cater for each one. But you know what? There's one meal. This is what's cooked today and this is what needs to be eaten. Otherwise, there's going to be nothing. Sometimes you've got to be a little bit tough and you've got to show them that this is how it's done. We cannot cater individually. We're not restaurants and we don't have the time for that.
Yeah.
So, but you know,
it's
making
not practical.
it
That's
simple,
not practical.
It's not practical. It's not actually a good way as well to actually teach children that this is what's available, this is what's good for you, and this is how we need to sort of look at things and just try it. Sometimes they just say no because they just don't know. You know, at least get them to put it in their mouth.
Yeah.
And that sometimes can actually be the winner itself, to actually get them to actually eat it, to actually like it, and you can do it again.
Yeah.
So there's many variations, and obviously it does differ from client to client, or from whoever it may be, mums, or even ourselves. We ourselves are so resistant, so we need to look at ourselves first, and we're the best of teachers. We need to be the role models, and we need to carry that forward.
And the truth of the matter is, even to this day, for myself, I eat carrots. I don't particularly like carrots, but my mum, well, I'm not going to waste her money, and it's not going to happen in terms of wasting her ingredients. I mean, carrots were served, and carrots were enjoyed.
That's it.
Whether I enjoyed them or not, they were good for me.
What you instill from a young age as well, regardless, it will something that you'll remember, you know, in a lifetime.
We're habitual creatures, as they say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a good way, that could be good. And some other
we get good habits,
we need to change.
So we
I
think that is a perfect takeaway message to instill and keep instill those good habits. So up next we have Ramadan etiquette with Sister Masuma Jaffa, Quran Ramadan.
Thank you, Brother Bilal, for that episode on healthy fats. Interesting discussion and seeing the outcome of the food. So now we have our Ramadan etiquettes, and alhamdulillah, we have Sister Masuma Jaffa joining us once again. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How's your fasting going?
Alhamdulillah, good.
Good. I'm sure, mashallah, inshallah, God is blessing you with lots of Baraka. And thank you for joining us on these busy nights. Obviously, everyone has hectic lives, and so today we're going to be speaking about the importance of reciting Quran and why we recite it and the benefits we get from it. So firstly, why should somebody recite Quran?
Because they are the words of Allah. It's the only thing that we know 100% is actually authentic. These are the words of Allah, not changed at all. So much so that when God tells the Holy Prophet, you know, say, he actually says say. So he says it word perfect. It's not even been changed even that little bit. And if I love Allah, I would want to know what he says. It is a book of guidance for us. It is a book that allows me to connect to my Creator. And the peace that I feel when I'm reciting it, it's unbelievable.
So really beneficial to your soul, guidance, lessons in life. And often actually people will say, yes, the Quran is 1400 years ago. Yes, there are lessons from the prophets, but they don't apply to us. And that's quite interesting, I find, because often you will see the ramifications still in our lives today. So the stories of Prophet Yusuf, the betrayal of the families, and you know, and how Prophet Yunus has that separation. You know, all these things, you know, we have. There's so many things that we can actually relate to, can't we? So in this holy month, somebody can't do, like obviously it's recommended to do the whole Quran, and mashallah, some people can even recite more than one once they do it. What are the spiritual benefits of, you know, even reciting one verse?
So we have hadith that says that, you know, in this month, if you recite one verse, it is as if you recited the whole Quran.
Wow, what a mercy.
Can you imagine? Yeah. It's like, why wouldn't you want to just take time out to recite it? But I think, you know, also, you know, life does go on. People can't sort of take the whole month off. So don't beat yourself up about it. Maybe use this as a way of bringing the family together. So maybe sort of between all the family members recite the whole Quran rather than reciting it on my own.
That's
So
mashallah
if
very
you've got
nice,
5
yeah.
people in the family, you can all do 6 juz each, and that's doable
That's
if you're
lovely.
working and things. So you know, you're not only connecting to Allah, but you're connecting with the family as well to Allah. And I think that's beautiful. When you worship together as a family, it brings you closer together as a family.
Definitely, yeah. That's a beautiful recommendation to not feel like you have to. And so, for those that Arabic isn't their mother tongue, is it okay to just recite the Arabic, or should we be reading the translation as well? How would you recommend?
So the Quran is only the Quran in Arabic.
Yeah.
So it's really important that we do actually recite the Holy Quran in Arabic. But obviously it's a book of guidance. Now if I don't understand what it's telling me, then how can it guide me? So it's really important that I not only recite it, but I reflect on it, because Allah constantly is telling us in the Holy Quran, why do they not reflect? So I don't want to be one of those who does not reflect. And reflection is not tafsir. A lot of people are scared to reflect because they think it's doing tafsir of the Holy Quran, and we don't have the knowledge to do tafsir.
Right.
In fact, there's a hadith from the Holy Prophet which says that, you know, if someone does tafsir from their own self with no knowledge or anything, then there will be a seat reserved for him in the fire of hell. But
Wow.
reflection is not tafsir, and I think that's really, really important to understand. Reflection is where I look at, I read a verse, I look at its translation if I don't know the Arabic, and I just contemplate on what God is telling me personally.
To build that relationship
verse.
then with God,
Yeah.
personally.
And the beauty of it is, because the Quran directly talks to each one of us, dependent on our situation, that same verse, when I look at it today and reflect on, will have a different meaning to when I look at it maybe in a year's time or in 10 days' time when my situation has changed.
SubhanAllah, it's so true, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's so beautiful, but we don't get, you know, we don't get that benefit because we're so focused on reciting, and reciting is a good thing. I'm not saying it's not a good thing. It's a very important thing, but that should not be our only focus. We should reflect, and then also, in order to actually understand the deeper meaning, actually look at the tafsir that we have, which have been written by the scholars who have knowledge. So it's really important, and I suggest that we do the reflection before the tafsir, because when we do the reflection after the tafsir, then it guides us, it narrows down our reflection, because now we think we have to think this way.
Right.
Whereas it's
You need
more,
to expand your...
yeah, so just allow the Quran to talk to you, talk to your heart, talk to your soul. Not go into the Quran with any preconceived ideas, with no sort of, you know, this is what I believe and therefore the Quran should, you know, give me proof to that. Rather just allow it to talk to you.
But I think it sounds like the prerequisite of it really to speak to your soul and your heart. It's the clearance of your heart, the sincerity, the genuine communication. You want Allah to speak to you.
Exactly.
Because otherwise, if you know, I could just imagine people. You know, you've obviously written awful things about, you know, I was thinking about Salman Rushdie's book, that they want to misinterpret something, they can actually come up with something very, very deviated.
And the Quran itself says that those who have perversity in their hearts, the Quran will actually increase the perversity. So if you go in with preconceived ideas, then yes, it won't benefit you. It's a matter of allowing Allah to talk to you through His word.
And I think it's so beautiful what you said, because I think some people may think, well, am I worthy of God talking to me? What have I done? And yet He says, call upon me and I will answer you. But that's what you're saying, isn't it?
And I think, you know, the sad thing is, you know, when we have the Quran, we treat it with respect, and of course we should. But it's not disrespectful for me to make notes. It's not disrespectful for me to put, like, you know, my sort of sticky notes where I actually make, because that's me using it.
Absolutely.
If you know, if a Quran looks used, then that means it's actually, I've taken it on, and I've you know, it's like if you have a letter that's been sent to you by your beloved. You know, you keep opening it, you keep reading it, and it will look used. It won't look, you know, like a lot of us, we just keep the Quran on the top shelf, and, you know, we're so concerned about respecting it that we don't actually use it. Using it is not disrespect. If anything, not using it is disrespect.
Absolutely. I remember going on Zahra once, and there's lovely sister who, mashallah, teaches, the Zohar, and she had brought along her Quran, and it had so many sticky notes in it and all these pages, and I just sat in awe thinking, mashallah, her relationship, you could tell just by those sticky notes. And you think, subhanallah, how Allah, puts a light in people's heart to enable them to open up and actually, receive that guidance from Allah. So we've got the holy nights coming up, Laylatul Qadr. So one of the most important things to do is to sit and the reflection of because obviously we're told reflect. So would you say one of the best deeds would be to recite maybe Quran and reflect upon those verses?
It is a very highly recommended deed to do. Again, we've been given specific surahs for those nights.
Right.
So we have Surah Ankabut, Surah Rum, Surah Dukhan. So maybe before the nights, if we can actually look at the translation of those surahs, reflect on them, look at the tafsir of those surahs. There's a lot of commonality between the three surahs. So again, there's a specific reason those three surahs have been chosen, because the whole of the Quran is beautiful. Every surah in the Quran.
Could you elaborate
has a
on
message.
that point, just for our viewers, in terms of, to say somebody doesn't understand that, how are they connected? How would you, in your sort of understanding?
So there's lots of, like for example, all three surahs talk about the signs of Allah, and how we should reflect on the signs of Allah, because that will bring us closer to Him. They all talk about the difference between a believer and an unbeliever. So there's lots of different things, and again, each one has its own separate message. So for example, Surah Ankabut talks about the spider's web and how much time he spends making that, but how fragile it is. And again, it brings it back to our life. How much time do we spend in this world, making our lives for this world, and yet it's all going to go.
It's going to go. So
when we die, none of this matters. It's what we take on to the next world that matters. So Surah Rum, which talks about the prophecy of the Romans defeating the Persians, no one thought at that time that would happen. So again, even though we think something's never going to happen, it's impossible, God can make it happen.
Yeah.
So even the specific messages that are in those surahs, the commonality that are in those surahs, there's so much to learn from it. It's just literally just sitting there and just making your notes on these surahs, so that you're actually prepared for this. This is the most important night. The night of Laylatul Qadr is the most important night of your whole year. Why would we not prepare?
And no guarantee for next year, is there?
Exactly.
Know people who were with us last year, and
it's not even the fact that it's preparation for someone else. It's preparation for my own self. I have a say in my destiny for that year.
Yeah.
God's allowing me to have a say. Why would I not want to have that say?
Yeah.
And the more I connect to the Quran, the more I connect to Allah, because it's through His words that I'll connect to Him. I'll understand Him more. I'll understand what what He requires from me for my own self.
Right.
So it's not even the requirement He wants because He benefits, but because for my own self, for me to reach my potential, my perfection, so that when I actually meet Him, I'm ready for that meeting.
The best version I can be of myself. So you've said, mashallah, brilliant advice. Before the nights of Qadr, read those surahs and prepare.
And Surah Qadr as well, obviously, to understand the benefit of this night.
And benefit, and then learn, absorb perhaps what the messages are, so that on the night, one of the most recommended acts of worship are to recite those surahs. So actually sit and recite those if we can.
But when you're reciting it with understanding.
With understanding,
with a much deeper understanding, having reflected on those. Because again, we've got to remember that the nights are really, really short.
Yeah.
So we've got to ensure that we get the maximum out of these nights. So if I sit there and try to look at the translation on the night,
you're not going to have time, unless you're on the other side of the world and obviously have a benefit of a longer night. So, and then also as the Qadr nights go, then we've still got the 7 days, or have the even days that some people do, mashallah, 10, the all odd nights, and they're doing ibadah. But we've still got to carry that on, haven't we? Yes. So what would be your tips as a final message, to sort of
I think it's beautiful how God's put the night of Qadr on, not at the beginning of the month, where you think you're the strongest because you're not weak, you have just started fasting, because it's not about the body, it's about the soul. Okay, and usually when you think about like an exam, it's at the end of the year, so it's not at the end of the month.
So true, yeah.
Okay, it's actually coming towards the end, but you have the sort of 7 nights after it. Okay, and I've been thinking about this and reflecting on it, and I think it's beautiful because by the time you've gone sort of 3/4 into the month, your soul is spiritually,
Yeah.
stronger. It's more connected to Allah, so you're ready for this amazing night. Okay. Once you've had this amazing night where you've actually thought about what you want going forward, and you make resolutions, and it's about reconnecting to Allah, reevaluating your life, prioritizing things, making sort of resolutions on what you're going to do, then you have the 7 nights in order to implement those resolutions, bring them into your life so you can see how it's brought in, because you're still in the month of Ramadan.
Yeah.
So you're still, you've still got the Barak of the month, you've still got shaitan locked up, you're still on that training ground where, it's much easier to implement those changes. Then, because you've implemented them in those 7 nights, then you can continue once the holy month finishes, because now it's easier to continue something you've already started, rather than trying to start it
Yes.
when the holy month isn't there.
Yeah, so make it habitual, and then inshallah we continue after the holy month. Thank you
Inshallah.
so much once again. Time's flown by,
Thank
and
you.
I've really benefited, and inshallah so have our viewers. Thank you so much once again, and inshallah we will see you soon.
Inshallah. Thank you.
And next up we have our own little Abbas. So cute. And he's going to be giving us a daily hadith.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abbas and I'm here to bring you the daily hadith from Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them. Which month is the best month and which days are the best days? Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said the best month is the month of Ramadan, and the heart of month of Ramadan is the night of Qadr. But what does it mean? Well, it means that Ramadan and the night of Qadr is the most important time of the year. So make the most out of it. See you again, inshallah.
Morning Baraka, Ramadan special. Fiqh and your questions answered with the Sayyid. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Sayyid, how you doing, sir?
Alhamdulillah, can't complain. How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah.
Thank you and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me again.
You're welcome.
I came on an empty stomach this time. No, I'm joking.
We'll make sure you can have some sandwiches.
If we have time, if there's time.
So we have a question,
Go ahead.
and it's from a young adult. When approaching the time for iftar, me and my parents have arguments because the Shia and Sunnis break their fast at different times. I have converted to Shia Islam and my parents are still Sunnis. Should I break my fast with them, or shall I do it at the time stipulated for the Shias? I don't want my fast to be void.
This issue does come across quite a lot, especially with, when we have a congregation of Sunni and Shia together, especially for the reverts. I know it's a bit of an issue. And also, when friends get together and they want to do iftar together or even pray together, the timing.
It's never so apparent than it is in this holy month.
Indeed. Ahkam wise, you are not allowed to open your fast a minute before Maghrib Adhan. So in this situation, I'm afraid not. You can't open your fast with your parents, and you'd have to wait until Maghrib Adhan to open your fast. However, your parents should be understanding. Your parents should be accommodating, and it's only 15 minutes. Like, it's not a big gap. It's not like an hour, 2 hours or so. It's only a couple of minutes.
Some people would say it is when you're hungry.
Definitely. I mean, you're hungry, but you could say, let me just, do wudu first, and maybe I'll pray before I eat, or, maybe
So would
I'll
you
go
say
have
recommend to sort of not to obviously go head on and argue, but to divert and perhaps
Indeed. I mean,
way.
we don't want to create a hostile environment at all, and there is different opinions in different madhab, and we need to tolerate that and accept that okay, you're going to open your fast at this time, I'm going to open my fast at this time, and there's no need to create a conflict. There's no need at all. However, if you're embarrassed to say, oh, do you know what, I need to open it a bit later, this or that, just go to the toilet, maybe do wudu, or just say I want to pray, make an excuse. Just before I want to read a little bit of Quran. It's not like you have to delay or distract yourself for too long. It's only 15 minutes. So I don't. There's no need for any.
It can be
sort
quite
of
difficult though, because I
issues.
know
I
in
mean,
gatherings,
embarrassing.
parents can be quite, obviously this is a young child, and parents have their set ways. We've taught you, and you're doing something differently. And even in gatherings where with friends, they can be obviously understanding, and when we have gatherings with Sunnis, and it's never an issue. It's just like, yeah, we've just got a different time, and Bismillah, you start eating. So it's not, and often they will actually delay theirs, so we start eating. But and I know in some sort of group iftars that we've done, community, I went to one that was predominantly Sunnis, and I think I was the only Shia there, and I was the last one to eat. But again, I'm older, and I can make my way around. I'm quite confident. But for younger people, that can be quite difficult and daunting. And
those people at uni, for example.
Yeah, I can understand. It's intimidating.
Everybody's breaking fast and they're looking at them and saying, "Go on then, eat it then." Yeah, alhamdulillah, shukran, brother. And they got the banana there, trying to hang back with it. Go, Bismillah, brother, please.
Yeah,
please.
Practically. Reminding me of my uni days. I remember that it can be a little intimidating and
or at least uncomfortable.
And a little uncomfortable, but as Shia, we don't need to shy away from our beliefs. We don't need to shy away from our practices. It's you can say, I used to say, I've got a couple of more minutes. And they'll be like, okay, no problem.
So what would you say to a young person to give the reason? Perhaps somebody says, why is it like that? Why we're all Muslim, eat. It's time for.
Okay, so in terms of, why do different madhab? Different madhab have different timings and different.
So maybe different methodology for calculating. Is that correct? How they calculate or work out the time?
And also different methodology and different. For example, let's say sunset. So when is sunset? Is it once the sun has setted, or is it when the sun is setting? When it starts to set halfway through, what are the indications of that the sun has set? What is the indication of time? Mashallah, in today's day and age, we have Greenwich time medium, where we can give you this specific timing calculated that at this time the sun would set. And sometimes you give it a couple of more minutes, 1 or 2 minutes extra. According to the Shia, we always say when the redness has left the sky and it's on the one side. I'm trying to think now. He says, when the red is on the western side, so the redness is all around and it slowly starts to creep towards the west. And when the redness is all in the west, that's the time of Maghrib. That's the time you can open your fast. So others may say no, it's when the redness is in the east. That's when That's when the sun is set.
So quite nuanced.
So there's different, like I said, methodology and different indicators of what time is Maghrib, and that's depending on what madhab you follow. And this is why we have a difference in time. Do you
think that difference is a positive? It's a benefit, or do you think it causes division amongst us?
I don't think it causes division. I don't think it's a benefit neither. I think it is there because people have different interpretations. If anything, it shows that our religion is open to interpretation, and our religion is a tolerant religion where we can tolerate, respect, and we can accommodate people having different opinions and different rulings in regards to Islam. It's perfectly fine. We don't have an imam here at the moment. Until the imam comes, may Allah hasten his reappearance, inshallah. Until the imam comes, we can't say what is 100%. Until the imam comes. When he comes, then everything is 100%. We have no room for discrepancies.
Yeah.
It's a shame, I think, because because we're a minority school of thought, and I know certain areas they're predominantly Sunnis, and you may be the minority Shia. But it's important to feel that confidence, isn't it, in your faith, that this is what my fiqh says, and this is what.
Shia Islam, when I was growing up, and I was born in the 80s, and I grew up in the 90s and early in what they call the noughties. But Shia Islam wasn't a dominant, a predominant religion. People didn't know much about Shia Islam. People thought if you're a Muslim, that's it, in general, that's it. They didn't know the difference. Now kids as young as 6, 7, 8 know, that there's Shia and Sunni. There's two types, We don't
I guess that has its pluses and its minuses.
We're not a religion or a group that is unknown and not familiar with the community here in England. They know who.
Even if there are many misconceptions.
Exactly.
But it's taught in religious education in this country, whereas like you said, when we were growing up, we weren't taught. You were just a Muslim, and
exactly.
I think the only time they knew about the Shias was.
So it's the point I was trying to get to was that we don't need to shy away.
No.
And we don't need to feel that I'm Shia, sorry. No, we can say I'm Shia, and this is what we do. This is our faith. We don't have to be proud as in this is who we are.
Confrontational.
We don't have to be confrontational or condescending or anything like that. You're wrong and I'm right. No, we have to say, look, this is the methodology I follow, and according to my sheikh or my sayyid is this time. So, I'm going to wait.
Absolutely, it's absolutely
Do
fine.
you have any tips and pointers For those new to the religion of Islam, their first fast,
Yeah.
second fast.
I say, enjoy the experience. Definitely try to do it with the community. Don't do it yourself. Get in
So
contact.
the more involved you are,
Yeah, get in
the
contact
better.
with other Muslim brothers and sisters, and so you're all talking together, and because mashallah, during Ramadan, there's loads of events that are happening, so you can attend. There's Quran circles, tafsir, tajweed, ihkam lessons. There's loads going on in the community for 30 days. You don't have to feel, don't have to be, I'm fasting by myself or on my own. No, get involved. Do iftar with the brothers and sisters in group. It's a really nice communal, holiday period.
Any tips for the community with regards to those? Like the same question, but maybe
be very
projected at the
welcoming.
community.
For all Muslims that are fasting, trying,
For the veterans, for the veterans
for
in
the
the
veterans
community.
as well. Make sure you're doing programs, holding events. It's 30 days. We have Laylatul Qadr, mashallah. We have a couple of birthdays. Imam Hassan's birthday. We have the istishhad of Imam Ali alayhi salam, Amirul Mu'mineen. Let's get active. Let's get Ramadan. Everyone knows we're fasting. Let the public know.
Oh yeah,
everyone knows.
Oh yeah, most government buildings
isn't it a really good
and
time
public
to start
sector.
introducing Islam to people who don't know? Why not invite non-Muslims to come have iftar? Or why not encourage non-Muslims? You know what? Why don't you fast for one day to see what it's like? And at the end, come to the mosque and eat.
Sounds beautiful. That's a beautiful dawah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I think also there's what would your tip be for somebody who's not perhaps near a community, more isolated, maybe a Muslim, a Sunni revert? What would they do?
Move. No, I mean for those who aren't that are quite distant, for whatever reason. I know brothers who they're working because they're far from family and this and that.
It's like that for a lot of Muslims in the US. A lot of because America is such a big compared to the United Kingdom. It's such a big country, and some people are very isolated.
So the best thing is to try and find the community as close as you can. And if you can make the journey, go for it.
Yeah.
If you can't, mashallah, most of our programs and stuff are online. Why not go and just make sure allocate some time, go online and watch some lectures, specifically for Ramadan, some live lectures. Imam Hussein TV, we're here to help you for your Ramadan period. Watch the channel. We can help you and get you into that spiritual zone to help you excel in your spirituality this Ramadan.
And also, like you said in the previous point, that it's not necessarily about sharing your fast with Muslims. You could invite, your colleagues, whoever, and join, the celebration of opening your fast.
Indeed, I remember watching a famous celebrity, not mentioning names, Russell Brand. He came to this communal iftar that we're having, and he came to support the charity and what they were doing, and it was really nice. And inshallah we can have more of this.
Absolutely, definitely opening your centres locally and inviting non-Muslims and actually having a collective. There are actually initiatives in the UK where they host centres for non-Muslims, but definitely to get involved.
I agree. Making Islam real and relevant to the society that you're living in, and not just
any
isolated.
last pointers before we?
So last point is
your takeaway message.
My takeaway message to the people, for all the Muslim ummah, for the brothers and sisters, this is our month. Let's get together. Let's make it very, very spiritual. Let's grow together as a community and get closer to the Imam of our time. Get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a community. And let's not go empty-handed. Let's take, our non-Muslim brothers and sisters with us and let them share with the experience. Furthermore, for the reverts, if you're finding it difficult, you can do taqleed of Sayyid Sadiq Shirazi, and he'll allow you to open your fast early if you want, even if it's too long. If not, please get involved with your community. Find out, local brothers and sisters around. Do not be by yourself this Ramadan. That's the main thing. Don't do it yourself because it gets boring, gets lonely,
it gets tough.
Indeed. So find your local centres, call up your brothers and sisters, and get together. Have like local meets, group iftars and things like that. Really get involved and grow together as a community, inshallah.
Thank you so much. You have a blessed
Very
day.
nice.
I will do my best.
Thank you so much. It was very interesting.
Thank you for having me.
Good pointers
Thank
there.
you.
Inshallah, our viewers have a blessed Sahoor and a blessed day. Enjoy your fast.